Now, this is the story all about how I was blindfolded and flown halfway across the world to Ecuador. Good morning. How are we all? Good to get a video back out. It's been a while, and obviously I'm in lockdown right now in the UK, but we're coming to the end of that, and so I want to start sharing some travel videos and some travel stories, starting with something I've never shared before on this channel. About a year and a half ago, I flew across the world to a new continent for me, blindfolded, and ended up in Quito in Ecuador. But now I need to explain that, because even thinking back on it, it seems like a crazy experience that I'll probably never have again. And so even though I didn't get to share a video at the time, I want to tell you about everything that happened. So it was around March last year, and I was living in Bali at the time, and I got this email from an airline coming through the campaign saying, we want to work with you and we want to fly you somewhere, but the only catch is you're not allowed to know where you're going, and you're going to be blindfolded, and you're going to have noise cancelling headphones on. I said, sure, sounds great, as long as it's a new country and as long as it's somewhere I haven't been before. I mean, it was scary, but that's the kind of travel that I love. It was like, we want to take you, throw you somewhere new, you're gonna have to figure out where you are and just sign up here. Okay, sure, why not? So a week later, literally, it was all so last minute, a week later, I flew from Bali, not having any idea where I was going, but I had to start back in Amsterdam. So from Bali, I flew to London, spent an overnight stay in the Easy Hotel just outside Heathrow. So then in the morning, could fly to Amsterdam, again, not knowing what was happening. But at this point, I didn't have a blindfold or headphones on, because then in Amsterdam was where I met the film crew that would be coming with me, and where I got blindfolded and the headphones. The flight on the way there was actually delayed, and so everyone was kind of panicking because they didn't know I was meant to be getting on the plane first. Like, all of the airline staff, all of the ground staff were all in on it. So there was a whole thing planned for me to be able to get on the flight before anyone else, and it didn't work out. I'm literally about to shove on the blindfold and get to the gate. So now if you're wondering at this point, why don't I have loads of footage of it? Why wasn't this filmed? And why couldn't I share it and show you more of it than I can right now?
It's the moment.
I'm going to explain. So in order for this to work, the idea was that I would be dropped in the middle of a country, and then through Instagram Live, I would have to figure out where I am. Just walking around, as soon as I took my blindfold off, I would have to look at the clues around me and figure out right then what country I was in. So in order to do that, they had to get the airline in on it, they had to get the airport in on it, and they had to get everyone from A to B where I would end up to understand that you couldn't tell me what was going on, and also to enable me not to take off my blindfold or headphones. So yeah, it was quite a big task, and they were meant to be filming it all, and it was going to go up as an advert. Unfortunately, someone going through an airport with a blindfold and headphones on, going through security, might not play that well, especially with people being more scared nowadays about travel, but also even then about things like terrorism. It might not work that well, so the whole thing was shit-canned. But I still got to do it. That's why I'm sharing it with you now, because although I don't have access to the footage, it's one of the coolest things I've done, and I want to share it. We seem to be in a bit of a rush, so I don't think I have very long in this airport at all. I'll show you in a sec when I slap the blindfold on, and then from there I don't think I'll be able to film that much. So yeah, leading up to the flight in Amsterdam, I had to be blindfolded and put the headphones on before I got to the gate, because being at the gate would have given away where I was flying to. So from this point onwards, it was so awkward. Now, I kind of knew, because they gave me the timings of where we'd be flying to, because I wanted to know how long the flight was. just to know what to expect, whether or not I'd be sitting on a plane for an hour or 12 hours. So I know I was up for a 10-hour flight of being blindfolded with my headphones on, just completely having no senses around me. And I knew that was gonna feel really awkward, and I know I felt quite apprehensive because of it. Because I don't know, even if you've tried just closing your eyes and walking somewhere, having no idea where you are and not knowing where you are in a new place when you're walking through an airport or through a flight can feel quite scary. So I started off this flight feeling like I don't know where I am. And because we were actually the last people on the plane, because the previous flight was delayed, and it meant I had to walk past everyone wondering, what is this guy doing? Why is he blindfolded and why does he have headphones on? Then when we got onto the flight, as I was just being escorted by one person, I ended up being, well, let's set the scene. I sat down with my blindfold headphone on, sat down first. I reached out and I was like, oh, there's no one there. Ah, there's no one here. This is quite a wide seat. Then the air steward came over to me and said, oh, what would you like for a drink, sir? I was like, oh, this is new. I didn't normally get this. I'm in business class. So the first time I've ever flown business, I was blindfolded with noise cancelling headphones on. I was completely without my senses, couldn't even enjoy business class, and there I was on my way for 10 hours to what I didn't know at the time would be a new continent. Hey guys, I've just sat down. I genuinely have no idea where I'm flying to. I don't even know where I'm sat. It was all very weird. Got taken the whole way here, and yeah, I mean, these are on. I can't hear anything. See what happens. Now the only time on the way up, even as we took off, as he was doing all the announcements and whatever, I didn't get to hear any of that. The only part I was allowed to take my blindfold and headphones off was for the safety announcement video, where they tell you what to do in case the plane crashes. Now they had to do this legally, so they had to show me it, and I saw then the safety announcement video. All of the other screens of business class were turned off, by the way, but the safety announcement video said blah 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 that they normally say, but the subtitles were in Spanish. I apologize. The subtitles were in Portuguese. So me, being an idiot, saw it and thought, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to Brazil, figured it out, I'm going to end up in Rio or Sao Paulo, no problem. It was only later when even when I landed and took off my mask, I didn't realize. It was only later when I actually figured out where I was that it wasn't Portuguese, it was Spanish subtitles, and that served me right for being an idiot. So I thought the whole way, because after this I had to put the blindfold back on until we were cruising normally, and then at that point I was able to take off the blindfold. Wasn't allowed to use any of the entertainment because they were all switched off to keep me in the dark, but I was allowed to watch things on my laptop or use a podcast. I'm up in the air now. There were I managed to avoid all the announcements with these headphones. All the screens are turned off now in front of me, look. So I really have no clue where we're going. This is cool. I'm also in business. Check this out. Everyone at the airline staff were in on it. They wouldn't tell me, or I didn't even bother asking because they wouldn't let me know where we were going. And anytime there was about to be an announcement, they said, put your headphones back on because, you know, otherwise it will give away the game. Okay, we're about to descend. This is going back on, he's going back on, and let's find out where I am in the world. About 10 hours later. Also, I did at least get to use the lay down flat seat in business class. I got some nice food, so that part was good. Actually, the whole thing was good. But then on the way down, blindfold back on, completely without senses again, and got thrown into a van. So actually, first, coming through security was the only part that I was allowed to even take the blindfold off or headphones, coming through immigration. And at this point I thought, oh, surely this is where we're going to get in trouble. I'm going to have to take it off so the passport guys could look in my eyes and figure it out. But I got taken to another side room within the airport. They just took off my mask for a very quick second, looked at my eyes, put it back down, and that was it. Maybe 2 seconds there where I'd even got to take my blindfold off in the airport for 2 seconds tops. And I still thought I was in Brazil. I still had no idea that I was actually in Ecuador. After that, I got thrown in a van, back of a van. Still no clue where I was, but being driven for 2 hours into what I could only assume was the middle of nowhere. Now this all was very professionally run, and it was actually for an advert, but imagine just being in that situation, how sketchy it could be. You've just been blindfolded, put in a plane, flown across the world and thrown in the back of a van in Ecuador. The first time I've ever been to South America. So we drove for 2 hours and I could feel in my stomach that it was winding up a hill. So I knew that I was going up, but still no clue where I was. Then when we finally get to the place, it was getting dark at this point because our flights had been delayed. And I finally got to the place where we were going to have the big reveal. I took off my blindfold and had absolutely no clue where I was. I was scrambling around trying to figure out where I actually was in the world, because I didn't want to look silly with people filming me and with Instagram Live going on. I didn't want people to, oh, this guy doesn't know anything about travel. So I was really trying hard to figure out where it was, and they gave me some clues about this country speaks Spanish. Like, not Brazil then. That was my first clue. And eventually I did actually see over, like, behind the cameras, there was a sign saying Quito. And then I scrambled trying to figure out, where's Quito? And we figured out that it was Ecuador. I then got to spend the next few days exploring Ecuador with the tourism board, and that's going to be the next videos on this channel. But unfortunately, I just never got to share that. I never got to share that experience with you on this channel because the whole project was terminated. It just didn't quite work as a video, and so the whole thing was just not aired. I didn't film that much of it because obviously I was blindfolded and I couldn't really film and get a lot of B-roll, and it was being filmed instead by the crew, which have all the footage. So although I can tell you this story now, I don't have a lot of footage of the actual journey there. What I do have is the footage of actually being in Ecuador and getting to see all the places that we got to go to in Quito for a few days. So that's my story, as they say in the end of the movies. Yeah, no, it's the only time I've actually been to South America in bizarre circumstances, and I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you're going to enjoy the upcoming Ecuador videos on this channel. There should be 2 of them. I got a few great days in Quito, and now I can show you that. So thank you to the company that took me there. Thank you guys for listening to my tale. I'll see you in the next video. That was genuinely insane. Like, I think you would have just seen a lot of it from Eric over here filming that. Yeah. While I was doing the live, but I genuinely no clue until getting right here, right now, where I was, at all, what country or anything. I really had no idea. And now we get to explore Ecuador.